Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. So you might have been hearing a lot of buzz about Anastasia Beverly Hills. Anastasia Beverly Hills did launch their Riviera palette quite recently. I believe they are launching it and everybody is talking about Anastasia Beverly Hills. Everybody's being obsessed, or everybody is obsessed with the brand, and that hype just inspired me to do a little bit of a video in which I talk to you guys about about the things that I own and the things that I've purchased from Anastasia Beverly Hills, what I think of the brand, my experience with the brand, etc. And at the end of the video, I will also be telling you guys about my favorite top 3 Anastasia Beverly Hills products, and I'll be showing you the one thing that I seriously cannot live without from Anastasia Beverly Hills. There will be timestamps down below if you're interested in just skipping around this video, if that is of interest to you. If you are looking at this video and you're thinking that's a little bit too long, I just want to skip ahead to certain segments, the timestamps for this will be down below in the description box. So anyway, let's just get into the video. I would say that Anastasia Beverly Hills is one of those brands that has mastered social media to the point that whenever they come out with a new product, whenever you see something from Anastasia Beverly Hills, you automatically want it. If you're me, you know? So that's why, as a result, I have accumulated a pretty fair amount of Anastasia Beverly Hills items. And I would say that out of all the brands in my makeup collection, Anastasia Beverly Hills is one of the brands that I own the most from because of the level of hype that surrounds the brand. It is considerable, which is why I want to make this video, because I want to give you guys my opinions and my perspectives of the brand, of the products in the brand, because I think that overall Anastasia Beverly Hills is a very good, very high quality brand. However, there are certain things that are in the brand that I think are a little bit too hyped up, that I think don't necessarily work for me, and that's why it is so important to me to look through brands with this very objective lens to make sure that I am really lusting after a product, not because of the hype, but because of the fact that I'm actually genuinely in love with the product, if that makes any sense. When I first started getting obsessed with makeup, I started to really look into Anastasia Beverly Hills. Everybody was just so just head over heels in love with the brand, and there was a lot of hype surrounding the brand even then, and I started really to covet certain Anastasia Beverly Hills items. I started buying certain things, and at one point I really made it my goal to collect as many Anastasia Beverly Hills items as possible. That of course has changed because I look at Anastasia Beverly Hills and I see a brand that everybody loves, right? And for me, whenever I see a brand that everybody is head over heels in love with, that everybody's obsessed with, it kind of turns me off of that brand. I definitely think that the reason I stopped buying so many Anastasia Beverly Hills items is because I just realized that, for one thing, there was really no way to catch up to the many people that had literally every single Anastasia Beverly Hills item. And then I realized I was also being drawn to other makeup brands and other products that were not necessarily as hyped up or lusted after as Anastasia Beverly Hills products themselves. So now whenever I think of Anastasia Beverly Hills, or whenever I see a new launch from the brand, I'm not immediately struck by a sense of adoration and longing for a product. I just look at it and I'm like, okay. I mean, if it's something really cool and interesting, I will get it and I will love it. As with many of the products that I'm about to mention in this video, I do like Anastasia Beverly Hills. I think that they have worked very long and hard to cultivate a certain standard that they have excelled in, but at the same time, I don't think that they're the be-all, end-all of cosmetic brands. I just think that I do use certain Anastasia Beverly Hills items to death, but then of course I do like other brands as well. So anyway, let's just get into what I have from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm first going to show you guys my eyeshadow palettes from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Now, I was at one point very set on collecting every single Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palette I could get my hands on, and as a result, I have now accumulated 5 different Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes. And if you look at the eyeshadow palettes that I have here, you can definitely see some older eyeshadow palettes and not a lot of more recent ones. For example, I don't have the Riviera, I don't have the Soft Glam, Norvina, etc. because ever since I started being really obsessed with colorful makeup, I have realized that those palettes are not necessarily my cup of tea. And the Riviera palette in particular is a palette that I have said several times that I can dupe with the existing colors in my makeup collection. So that's kind of why I've avoided buying more recent Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. But I'm going to take you through chronologically, and I'm going to show you the oldest Anastasia Beverly Hills palette that I have to the newest. So let's start off with this palette right here. I absolutely love this palette. This is such a sentimental piece for me. Plus the quality inside is just gorgeous. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Shadow Couture World Traveler palette, and when you look at it inside, oh my gosh, look how beautiful it is. This was a color story that really just inspired me a lot, and when this palette first came out, everybody was obsessed with it. I think that Makeup by Mario was really just in love with this palette, and I got it and I was so happy to get it. I absolutely loved like using these colors, and this color in particular is beautiful as well. Pink Champagne is iconic. There was actually a time in Anastasia Beverly Hills history where they put Pink Champagne into almost every single palette that they were releasing at the time, which of course I'm not complaining about because I love Pink Champagne. It is so good. It is so beautiful. I really wish that they would come out with like Intense Gaze and Metallic in single form because I love these two colors and I'd love to use them on my channel. Maybe I should find some dupes for them. That would be really interesting. But in general, this is such a beautiful palette. I don't really use it anymore. I probably should get back into it, but it was like just this very beautiful, like very classic palette that everybody was obsessed with, and I of course absolutely loved it. Next came Self-Made. Now I might get a little bit mixed up with like the order of which I got each and every single palette, so forgive me if this is a little bit out of order in terms of launches and whatever, but this is Self-Made. So Self-Made was a limited edition palette they released, I think, several years ago, and when I first saw this palette, I was enamored. And let me tell you why. I mean, you look at this color story, and I don't know about you, but I absolutely love it. All of these colors are like very cool tone, like you have a lot of like really unique shades. I personally absolutely love this like minty green, which is like called Isla. It is so beautiful. And this entire palette is absolutely amazing. I love this purple. I love Pink Champagne. This color, by the way, which is called Treasure, is an absolutely beautiful highlight shade. And something that I will definitely say is the quality of Anastasia Beverly Hills shadows, particularly the neutrals and the metallic kind of formulas, it's really good. They're really beautiful. Some of them are not as opaque as others. For example, I would say maybe this color, and this color. These are both colors that you do have to layer quite a bit. But the foiled textures of Anastasia Beverly Hills shadows are simply divine. And I also really love like the satiny textures of their formulas as well. I absolutely loved this palette. It is still one of my favorite color stories of from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Not my favorite, we'll get to that later, but this is just like a wonderful keepsake item. I especially love this purple. This remained for a very long time my tip-top favorite purple in my entire collection until it was overtaken by the Hasina 2. I love that purple in that palette. I'm actually wearing it all over my eyes today. I absolutely wish that they would take like a few of these shadows and release them as singles so I can like actually use this palette without feeling like you guys can't recreate the look. Plus the packaging is absolutely beautiful. I wish that they could like keep this packaging because it's so like edgy, and the durability of this packaging is especially wonderful because like this packaging looks brand new and I've had this for several years. Then I also really want to talk about the Master Palette by Mario. This is seriously like such a collector's piece. Everybody goes bananas over it and I am still obsessed with it. It is a little bit more neutral than what I typically go for. I do think that I might have done a video duping the shades in this palette or not. I don't think I did, actually. Yeah, I don't think I did. Maybe I should do a video and like dupe all these different colors because I'm pretty sure that I can find dupes for almost everything. The only colors that I'm kind of like just iffy about is maybe this color and maybe this color, but I think I can do pretty much every single color in this palette. It is a neutral palette, but it does have a little bit of a slight twist to it. I feel like it's a beautiful palette. It is absolutely amazing. This is seriously one of the best Anastasia Beverly Hills formulas in my entire collection. I love it. It is so good. Such like a keepsake item. I definitely should be getting into it a little bit more, but this is like one of those things that you can't really get anymore. But since I love Makeup by Mario so much, I keep this and I love it. Then I want to talk to you guys about the Modern Renaissance. And this is actually a palette that you might not expect my opinion on this. And let me tell you why. This is a palette that was a cult favorite. Everybody was obsessed with this palette. People still do have quite an obsession with this palette. And what's really interesting about this palette is that this is the kind of palette from which you're able to identify exactly who is a neutral lover and who is a color lover. Because people like to say that, oh yeah, this is the only part of the palette that I use. These are the colors that I love so much. Or if you're a color lover like me, you are the exact opposite. You're like, this is the part of the palette that I absolutely love and use so much. You know, this part of the palette is amazing. You know, to each their own. But the thing is with this palette is the formula is really great. The mattes perform beautifully. The shimmers perform beautifully. I think it's a beautiful palette. However, I will caution you that if you are somebody that loves colorful shadows, do not get this palette, because my one gripe with this palette is that if you use a lot of these shades together, you end up with a look that's very neutral. And that's kind of like an experience that I had recently when I picked up this palette and started using it on my eyes. The resulting look ended up being like very neutral looking, and I personally did not love that look. So that's just my thing with this palette. The quality is sensational. Everything is beautiful. Do I think that there are better palettes out there? Yes. But if you are somebody that likes neutral tones, you might find yourself using this palette a lot. I will say that the hype has died down on this palette considerably, and I don't think you will benefit as much from getting this palette as you would have if you had gotten this palette, say, 2 years ago or 1 year ago. Because this is a palette that has had its time. You know, everybody had this palette and they love this palette, and now people are kind of looking at bigger and better things, if you get my meaning. But it's still a decent palette. I still like it. I still use it every now and then, but it's not like the be all end all for me anymore. You know, the last palette that I have to share with you is my favorite Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. And I actually was surprised that this was my favorite palette because I was not expecting it to be. Because yes, it is my most used Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palette. However, it is also one of my most difficult to use palettes overall. You probably know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Subculture. This is a palette with an amazing color story. I mean, if you look at this, like, look at this color story. Isn't it the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life, especially if you're a color lover? All these shades are so, like, unique, so pretty, so beautiful, but this is a difficult palette to work with. And that is my gripe with it, because the color story is amazing. So you kind of just want to go all in. You want to use like different shades. You want to use multiple shades on your eyes. You want to work with it. You want to blend it. However, if you use more than like say 1 or 2 shades from this palette at a time on your eyelids, you're going to have issues. Because I personally love opening this palette and I love using this palette when I'm thinking that I need a specific shade from this palette. For example, a while back, I opened this palette and I was like, I really want to use this Axis color because it is seriously one of the most pigmented, one of the most high impact bluish greens in my collection. I absolutely love this particular shade and I actually can't find it in a lot of other palettes, if any palettes. So I like go to this palette for these specific colors. But anyway, I used this one color from this palette and then I closed it and I put it away. And then I used some other shades to balance the look out. Because my thing is, this palette, the shades have a lot of kick up and they have a lot of like initial like pigmentation. They are very saturated, they're very pigmented when you first apply them. However, when you try and blend them out, that's when it can get a little bit iffy, especially if you're trying to blend them into each other, because then the result can be a little bit muddy, dare I say muddy. You know, it can just be like that. And that's what I've noticed as like an increasing issue the more I've used this palette, because when I first got this palette, I was like, I just have to be careful and I have to work with it. But then the more I use this palette, I realized just how difficult this palette was to use in comparison with my other palettes. That is not to say that I don't use this palette. Again, it is my most used, I repeat, my most used Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palette because I go to it specifically for certain colors, and then I put it away and I start using other colors to balance out the look. That's the way I use it, and that's the way I really like using it, you know? So I'm somebody that has like maybe like a medium level of expertise when it comes to makeup. I'm not somebody that's amazing at it, but then again, I'm not like a complete beginner. So for me, like, this is something that I have to be careful with. It's not foolproof. Maybe for a makeup artist it would be different, but then again, you see a lot of makeup artists on YouTube just like slamming this palette down. I really like the color story, and the color story is so amazing to me that I'm able to sacrifice comfort and like ease of application in order to get these colors on my eyelids because I love them so much. So that's kind of like my thing with this palette. I absolutely love it. But then again, it's kind of like a temperamental child. It's cute, it's beautiful, but then again, it just drives you nuts. So that's my subculture right there. Next, I want to talk to you guys about the 2 single eyeshadows that I own from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Now, Anastasia Beverly Hills single eyeshadows are, in my experience, very good. I only have 2 metallic eyeshadows, and those eyeshadows are seriously amazing. I don't use them nearly as often as I should, but they're absolutely beautiful. I have Prussian Blue, which is right here, and then right above it, I have Henna, which is absolutely beautiful. These 2 eyeshadows, let me swatch them for you, are seriously like stunning. They're amazing. They glide on beautifully. Remember, this is dry. I have not used a spray with this. I have not used glitter glue. This is how they look like when applied dry, and they're simply beautiful. I get minimal fallout, minimal kickback. They're absolutely stunning. So those are 2 shades that I absolutely love, and I really have been trying to get back into those. Then I want to talk about Anastasia Beverly Hills brows, and this is actually a segment for which I don't really have any products to show you because I actually currently don't own any Anastasia Beverly Hills brow items, and let me tell you why. The first Anastasia Beverly Hills brow product that I tried was the Brow Whiz. Everyone is obsessed with that thing. Everybody loved that thing at one point in time. And people still do. People still are obsessed with that product. They absolutely love it. I tried it and I didn't like it. For me, whenever I think of brow application, I think of one of the most boring parts in my makeup routine, and I just want to get it done quickly, okay? The Brow Whiz does not allow you to do that. It is very small, it is very precise, so you can create some beautiful looks with it, but at the time, and you know, I can still say that about me right now, I did not have the time, energy, or patience to work with brows for a prolonged period of time in my makeup routine. So I just returned it. Instead, I got the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dipbrow Pomade, and so started an obsessive, a beautiful love of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dipbrow Pomade. I used that thing all the time. It was absolutely beautiful. It made my brows look amazing. Well, looking back at pictures, my brows didn't look that great because I was kind of over tweezing them, but the product itself was absolutely beautiful. The reason I stopped using it, and the reason I no longer use it right now, is because right now I prefer a softer brow. The Anastasia Dipbrow is a product that you can use to create a really natural looking brow, but it's a brow that still has a lot of structure to it. I don't really want that anymore. I like softer, I like more bushier looking brows. So what I do is I just use a powder, and when I need to powder for my brows, I just use an eyeshadow. So that is what works for me. As a result, my Dipbrow was unused, and I decided to give it away to my sister, and she uses it all the time, and she also loves it. So Anastasia Beverly Hills has some really amazing brow products, but do they work for me? At the moment, no, they do not. Moving on, I want to talk to you about face products. So I have 2 things. I have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Stick Foundation. I got this with the expectation that it would be my new favorite foundation. I thought it was going to be amazing, and sadly, it is not. It is a stick formula, right? So you just put it on, and you're supposed to buff it out, and I thought it was pretty good until I wore it for like about an hour and a half, and then I looked at myself in the mirror, and I realized that even though I had powdered and baked, my foundation was gone. And it was bad. So that's why I just don't like it. It's not long wearing enough. It doesn't stay on my oily skin, and it just doesn't work for me. So that's why I just have not been using it. I'm trying to find a way to use this up or get rid of it, but it's definitely not one of my favorite foundations at all. Then I want to talk to you guys about the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dream Glow Kit. Now, I absolutely love this thing. I'm wearing it right now, and I'm actually wearing it on my eyelids because if you look at this glow kit, you will see that you have a palette of 6 different highlighters, and they all have like this beautiful duochrome quality to them. They're very unique and interesting. The one that I'm using today is this green one. And you can see that once it's on the skin, it has like this weird, like beautiful lavender silvery kind of flip to it. It's a duochrome and I love this. Like, these are amazing. I never thought I would be someone to wear like a duochrome colored highlighter on my cheeks, but apparently I am that person because I use this obsessively. It is so good. The powder is not very finely milled, but considering how reflective and how just bright it is, I absolutely love it. I use this all the time. It is absolutely amazing. And yes, it did get a little bit busted in shipping. I will put a link in the cards to show you guys the video in which I had a funeral for this palette. Watch that video to see what I mean. But basically it was shattered, so I had a funeral for it. But now it is resurrected and now I'm using it. So yeah, it's a beautiful product, amazing. I absolutely love this. It is so pretty. Then I'm on to lips. I have 2 liquid lipsticks from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I have the shade Pure Hollywood and then I have the shade Stripped. Now these are both like very pinky tone nudes. Pure Hollywood is definitely a little bit more pink. I'm gonna swatch it on the back of my hand for you guys, but here it is. That's Pure Hollywood. Okay, that is it right there. And then I have Stripped, which is again a pinky nude, but it is a nude that has a lot less pink than Pure Hollywood. So this is Stripped and this is Pure Hollywood. So I absolutely love Stripped. I would say more than Pure Hollywood because of how nude it is, but these liquid lipsticks are quite drying on the lips. That is my gripe with them because I personally like to have a liquid lipstick formula that's very lightweight and not overly drying. I want it to dry down, yes, but I don't want it to be overly drying on my lips. However, these are a little bit thicker. They feel quite lightweight on the lips, but they're quite drying, which is why I can only wear them with a gloss on top, which I have no problem doing. But at the same time, I would never wear these on their own at all, not even with a balm, for that very reason. Are these like the be-all, end-all liquid lipstick formula? No. I just don't like them as much as my other liquid lipsticks. However, is it usable? Are the colors pretty? Yes. Do I use them? Yes. You've seen them in tutorials, you've seen them in like nude lipstick videos that I've done. I like these colors a lot and I'm willing to go the extra step to make them more comfortable for me. But given the choice, would I repurchase these again? No, I would not. I think you can very well gather from this video that I'm not a be-all, end-all Anastasia Beverly Hills fan. I love the brand, I love their quality, I love their campaigns, even though they're a little bit neutral. I don't tend to get like into like this fit of adoration over any brand, especially Anastasia Beverly Hills, because I like to look at things through like an outsider's perspective. I like to basically overanalyze a lot of products even before I buy them, and I have found out that yes, the eyeshadows of Anastasia Beverly Hills are really great. The Subculture is a little bit iffy, but all the other formulas are really, really wonderful. I will suggest that if you are somebody who is a color lover and you're looking at Anastasia Beverly Hills shadows and you're wondering, should I get these, should I not? I would suggest going for the singles. And yes, the singles are rather expensive. They're $12 a pop, which is a little bit much. However, every now and then, I think Norvina, I think the creative director, and the brand, they do announce like sales on the single eyeshadows every now and then. And I would suggest waiting for a sale and then snagging a few shadows. So that's my suggestion if you're a color lover. Or you could get the Riviera palette. Everybody seems to really like the Riviera palette so far. It has done very, very well. I personally am not particularly obsessed with the color story because, again, I can find dupes in my collection. And I also am not gonna lie, I just don't really get a lot of Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes anymore. Like the Norvina palette, I felt like it should have had more purples. The Soft Glam, it was completely neutral, so I didn't need it. The Prism palette I might get at some point because I really do like that color story. But the Riviera palette, I can find so many dupes in my collection. I already have a lot of those shades, and I just don't really feel like giving into the hype with that palette. I probably really still find myself quite enamored by their highlighter products. I see myself getting a lot more highlighters from the brand. Probably not anywhere in the near future because I already have some highlighters I need to get through, but the highlighters for me are like the creme de la creme. I really do like them so far. The liquid lipsticks, not like my cup of tea, like not my be all end all, but they're good. You know, if you don't mind the drying, they're good lipsticks. What else? The brow products, they're good brow products. They're some of the best in the industry. Everyone likes them. I think that they're really fine quality. My Dipbrow I used for a very long time. I still wasn't able to get to the bottom of it because if you use very little, which is what I did, you will seriously be able to use it forever. It is amazing. And you're only paying $20 for like essentially, I would say at least a year of use, and it's a pretty good deal in my opinion. Now let's move on to the 3 Anastasia Beverly Hills items that are my favorite and the 1 item that I seriously cannot live without. The 3 items that are my favorite are the Dipbrow, because even though I don't use it, I think it's still probably one of the best items that Anastasia Beverly Hills has introduced. I also love the Subculture. I love this thing. I use it all the time. It's so pretty. The color story, again, is one of my favorites. It is amazing for me, okay? Don't judge me. It just is. And then another thing that I absolutely love is the Dream Glow Kit. And I will say, I'm going to tell you this right now, the one thing from the Anastasia Beverly Hills brand that I would repurchase if my house burned down and I lost all my makeup, the Dream Glow Kit. This is seriously my most used, my most loved, my most like amazing product from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Is like, it's this Dream Glow Kit. It is so beautiful. I use it all the time, and I seriously am quite hard pressed to find a dupe for this in the industry that performs just like this. If you're a color lover, if you are somebody that loves to experiment, if you're somebody that not really does like to experiment, but you're interested in maybe getting out of your comfort zone, get this because you will probably love it. I'm not going to say you will love it. I'm going to say that you probably 99.99999% will love it. Percent probability. You know, I can't even speak. But it's just such a beautiful product. I love it. I use it all the time. It is, again, my most used item from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and it is gorgeous. But yes, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful and informative. Let me know, what Anastasia Beverly Hills products are your favorites? Are there any products that you don't like that you like from the brand? Give me your thoughts, give them down below, and I will get back to you. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.